Sounds good.
All right, so it's Ashlyn and Sarah here from Clash Physical Therapy and Health Services, and we've brought on a fellow friend of ours, Steve, who is a licensed massage therapist, as well as a running coach and a nutrition coach. So welcome, Steve. Thank you for taking
Hi
time.
there. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate this conversation that we're having, and hope enjoyed our partnership so far.
Yes, I'm excited to get down and into it. So we do have some questions today to kind of learn a little bit more about you and
Okay.
training. So why don't you just start off with telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So
Here.
again, Steve Dozois here. Been a licensed massage therapist now for 15 years, focusing on sports massage and stuff for 10 plus years. Mostly started after an ACL injury, and working with my PT on how I could help my recovery, and the rest is history from there. I've married with 3 kids, Italian Greyhound and chickens back at home, and so keep us very busy here. And like I also mentioned, I certified in nutrition coaching, and recently added on running coaching to my repertoire.
So you kind of started off on this journey after an ACL tear. Was
Yep.
that something that happened during running? Did you do other sports before? What kind of got you into this running sphere, and how long have you been at it?
Sure, yeah. So the ACL injury was through soccer. I grew up playing soccer and have been playing my whole life. It happened mid-game, and um, but again, like the process with my PT showing how um, what she was doing and what I could do at home, it really just showed me what I could do as a massage therapist to supplement the rehab process, and that really worked. And I've been running for, I mean, I added running on to my training when I was in high school to help with my soccer, just to help with my fitness there. And it was all 400s, 800s, added on the mile for a couple of years, and then ran in college just for fun, you know, 6 miles here and there type of thing, and then didn't run for a while, and picked it up again probably 7 or 8 years ago. And at first I was anxious because of my knee, wasn't sure how I'd handle it, and just ran for fun and for fitness was really why I picked it back up.
Okay. What was the trajectory that sort of got you into marathon training? How does that differ, from training for a 5 or a 10K or even a half marathon? Can you explain sort of the difference, and sort of how you approach that training?
Sure. Yeah, I you can talk to my clients and a lot of my runners, and they'll tell you up until a couple of years ago I told them that I had no interest whatsoever in running a marathon. Zero interest. And I was happy doing my 3 to 5, nice and casual, and just you know doing it for myself, doing it for some quiet time and all that. And then the bug just hit me one day, and I realized I needed to try it and do it. So 5 months later, I ran my first marathon. So it was an interesting process. And the difference really for me with training versus running just for enjoyment is what you put into it, because you have to have specific goals for the type of race you're going to run, whether it be a 5K, a half marathon, marathon, and you've got to set that training up to meet little goals along the way to meet the final goal. And that's even setting aside any kind of time goal that one might want to have. But it was, the important thing for me with training for my first marathon was getting a coach, so I knew what I was doing. Otherwise, it's just, a lot of people like to go pull a plan off of Runner's World or things like that, and they can work very well. I wanted a more personal touch, and someone that knew who I was and knew what I was going through, and knew that what I was going to go through, even though I didn't know what I was going to hit yet, especially with that marathon training, because after you hit that half marathon, point, it's very different. I know the two of you just did another half marathon,
Yes.
but when you get past that, when you get to the 16, the 18, the 20 miles, it's very different. So you get the time on your feet is important, the nutrition is important, and the recovery is, it's really high up on the list on how important that is, in my opinion. So that's really for me how the training is different, having those little goals along the way to meet the big goal of completing the distance.
Do you think that like signing up for these races and setting these little checkpoint goals makes it easier for you to be a little bit more intentional about like training and gives you a little more motivation versus like before when you said you were just kind of doing your 3 to 5 and you were just kind of
Yeah, it is definitely more intentional. Yeah, so I mean, the real difference, what to me is that, I mean, I've got my plan, it's in 4-week blocks, and I can look ahead and I can say, okay, I know it's coming up this next month. I can plan my life around it a little bit, because when you get your long day runs or long run days in there, it does affect, other parts of your life, like kids, family, dogs, things like that. It affects everything else that's going on. So I try and plan around that intentionally, and then really focus on what's going on from there versus just going out for a nice casual run, which is also great. Last year, I did not train for anything. It was just going out and running, enjoying it, and making sure I stayed consistent as I could. And it was fine, but I also wasn't doing any pace running. I wasn't doing any tempo runs. I wasn't doing anything like that. I was just going out and running, and it felt good. It kept my fitness a bit. But as soon as I started doing more goal training for my build-up plan, which I'm in now, really hitting those time goals, those mile goals, and time on my feet goals was more important.
Is part of your training also supplementing with certain strength and mobility work as well? Or when you're kind of in the thick of it, is it mostly just mileage?
So for me right now, I'm doing a little bit of both. I don't have a specific strength coach plan with my coach right now. He'd be happy to do it, but I honestly don't have a lot of time to fit all that extra stuff in, and that's part of the hard part with that. So what I recommend is for folks who are trying to do that is to try and do some of the strength training and mobility training before the marathon training begins, because it's a lot to fit in.
Yeah.
Most of us have a job we have to go to. We have other things we need to do. So I do some calisthenics and some other things that are on my own. I do some mobility work on my own, but nothing is part of a strict part of my plan right now. My official marathon training doesn't start for another 2 weeks. So it'll be even more strict after that, really starts.
Would you ever consider doing anything longer than a marathon now that you've done some?
Well, I'll never say never, only because I used to say I would never do a marathon. So I would, my hope is, my goal right now for this current marathon training program is to qualify for Boston again. I qualified for this April, but I got bumped with their extra cutoff. So I'm training to run even faster than I did before. So hopefully I can run next April. And should I run in next April, then I'll consider a longer distance. I'll look at some trail running, and I'll switch over to trails and do something, maybe a 50K or 50-miler type of thing.
Yeah. I've only run a couple of halves, but like the first time I ran a half, I was like very young, like 26. And I was like, oh yeah, I could totally do a marathon. Then like after the last half we ran, I was like, yeah, I'm absolutely all set. But then again, I would have probably felt better if I had a proper coach. So and followed through with the proper training plan.
Yeah, it makes a difference for sure. And I had never done even a half marathon before I did my marathon. So it was just
went straight for it.
I just went straight for it, and I had just went on my own and ran 13 miles one day. I had never run more than 9 at that point, and I was hurting. I was definitely hurting. So that's when I made the decision to really run a marathon. I was like, I need some help. So I got some help for that. And I know him well, and he's a trainer as well, and just um, very trusting of his expertise, and definitely helped me along the way.
Cool. Great. What is your favorite part about training, and what is your least favorite part about training?
So as a so the my favorite part about training, it's for me, it's seeing the progress throughout the program. Seeing, okay, I've never run this far before. Now I do it again, and how well did I do compared to last time? So it's fun of seeing the progress and knowing that believing that I can do it. That first marathon, it's really, really tough. So, um, you know, believing that you can get there is important. So, like seeing those improvements and those goals checked off, that's probably my favorite part.
Yeah.
Um, and I geek out a little bit on for my stats, so I try and look as close as I can at everything, and also try not to take it like as too important. But because I like to have fun with it too.
Cool.
Least favorite part probably comes to the long run days where I might miss out on something else. So it's um the I don't know, I got to take a nap that afternoon, and I'm gonna miss out on something, or I'm going to bed at 7 o'clock that night and not gonna see some friends. So it's those kind of things that sacrifice that um I say I miss out on. And but it's part of the to me it's part of the training, and it's probably what I like least about it.
Yeah, that makes sense because you have
Yeah,
to.
I mean, I've been lucky. I've been very fortunate. Haven't been injured, so I keep
Yeah.
things exactly. So without injuries, I'm that would be number one if I
Yeah.
was injured.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
that's great. You must be doing something right.
I hope so.
What kind of tips would you give to anybody who wants to, start running, become a runner? Particularly like someone who doesn't really have a strong fitness background. Maybe
Mhm.
they're really, not very fit to start to begin with. Like what would you kind of recommend so that they can do it and not get hurt, especially like how would they approach that?
Yeah, that's the most important part, is how do you do it without getting hurt, so that you do more of it. It's starting slow. Don't try and think that you can go back and run the way you did, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And, you know, and just start easy. I like a good, something like a 30 minutes, run, walk, run type of program where you're running for a minute, walking for a minute, and or whatever time you can do, just to get your feet moving faster. And even if you start as a walk and then speed walk, and then get up to a running point, and then you're bringing that back and slowing down and getting back up. So little increments to build yourself up, and then get those little goals in, and then you can start thinking about, if you want to do a race. Some people want to just do the couch to 5K just to get moving. Some people just right out the gate say, I'm going to train for a marathon, because they want to raise, well, they want to maybe raise money for a cause, and
Sure.
which is great. And lots of people go from nothing to that. And it's a lot of time, it's a hard commitment. And the more time you have for that, the better. Even if you had 18 months to go from zero to a marathon would be great. But some people try and do it in 6 to 8 months, and it's hard.
Yeah. That's where having a coach is probably super key.
Yeah, and it is key. And and a lot of these charity programs have coaches for all the runners, which is fantastic. They have a plan for them set up, and they work with them on every aspect of training. So, and they split them up into different categories, for novice to more experienced. So and they help each other out along the way. So it's important. And otherwise you're just gonna we're going to get hurt if we go out too fast and too hard, and then we won't be able to do it at all.
Okay, that's cool. I did not know that certain charities would do that.
Yeah,
but
that's
awesome.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of them do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Good way to build some community and have some support along the way while you're doing something for a good cause.
Yeah, that's another good thing about those groups is that they, you get 20 to 30 of them training together and sometimes running together throughout the whole process. So it is a nice tight community, and they support each other and help each other along the way.
Yeah, it's definitely always helpful. Dreading your long run or something like that.
Yeah, sometimes we need some motivation to get out there and do a long run, especially if the weather is not cooperative. Some days we just don't want to do it. But if you want to meet that goal, you got to get out there and do it, as best you can. Or talk to your coach and say, how can I adjust this? It's this long run tomorrow, but I have this going on. How can I change things? So you can still get something in that's important, that's going to work.
Nice.
Yeah, I would definitely struggle during the winter months for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough. Like, would you say, how do you feel about like doing training on treadmills and things like that? Where like, I'll just admit it. I'll throw it out there. I hate treadmills. I
Yeah.
think they're like the devil.
Mhm.
But in certain instances, I get it. But I just find them to be like unnatural and hard on the body. But it's tough. Like when we live in New England, obviously, like I was just thinking about that myself recently. Like I'd really like to be able to like take a run outside, but there's literal ice on like the road and I might eat it.
Yep. You don't want to eat it. Yep.
So
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, so for me, it's whatever it's going to take to get you to do it, to do the running. If getting on a treadmill for an hour is gonna get you to do the time, then do it. I'm with the two of you. I can't do anything more than 20 minutes on a treadmill. It's more of like a warm up for me for a workout.
Yeah.
But I've run all winter long, and I usually go out at 5:30 in the morning. So it's dark, it's snowing, it's icy. So I just go out, I prepare myself for what's coming, and I just go do it. But some people won't do it if it's too cold, if it's a certain temperature, or if it's raining. And if going on the treadmill is going to help you to that goal, then do it, but don't make it your routine. I wouldn't make it a routine thing.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Just when it's necessary.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. But even still, for me, I can't do more than half an hour. I tried it once. I did an hour, and I was in pain for days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've injured myself doing training on the treadmill as well, like sprint intervals and things like that. And
Yeah,
I've never injured myself doing that elsewhere. So
Yep, it's different. It's definitely
full
a different type of
disclosure,
training.
I have personal bias against treadmills and / a vendetta, but
Right.
I do get it where like if you're being smart about it and like, if it's all that's available to you, it might just have to be what it is.
I just feel like I sound so loud too. Like, and you try to like land soft and then I just look like I'm flailing. So I'm,
Well,
what?
yeah, it can be something to help you on your form. So,
Yeah.
you can try that. It depends on the kind of treadmill you're running on. All the treadmills are different.
Yeah.
Like you have one of the Rogue ones like at your office, right? So the kind of curved.
Oh,
We
those
want
those ones. I
Yeah.
don't have one of those. Those
Okay.
I don't have a vendetta against because I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah,
that
I like those.
yeah,
Yeah.
they allow like a more natural cadence and like
Mhm.
interaction with the machine where you're making the belt move,
Correct. Yeah.
having to keep up with the belt.
Yeah.
So
It's a big difference. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
I also did once have a gym fail where the belt on the treadmill just died while I
Oh,
was like
God.
running at like a 11 speed and I went flying in the air.
Oh my gosh.
Here.
Yeah. So
That's
I was like, I was doing intervals again. and I like put it up and I started going, and then it just was like the motor died and I like went flying and landed on my
Like
back.
right into it. Oh my
Yeah, just
gosh.
flat on my back on the belt, and like it was really awkward, and
Ouch.
everyone around me just pretended like they didn't see it happen.
They're like, let's pretend we didn't see that so we don't embarrass her.
Yeah, I was like, this is you're making it worse. Like
Yeah.
I know you know.
Just acknowledge it. I'm
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was only like 21, so I was fine. But
Oh my God.
oh God,
New fear unlocked.
yeah.
Great.
So
Yeah.
just in case anyone else needed more reasons to hate the treadmill. So tell us a little bit how you blend your coaching and your massage therapist roles.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So that's kind of why I wanted to get into the running coaching. I've been working with running clients for, you know, like I said, over 10 years now. And they're always asking my advice, not just on, you know, recovery and injuries and things like that, but what should I do here? What would you do here in this case? And what about, um, in race nutrition and all that kind of stuff. So, um, wasn't, I've been thinking about it for a little while, and I was like, well, the best way for me to give them the right advice is to learn it myself and become certified in the latest in running coaching. So that's what I did. Um, and and the way I'm going to be blending it, and this is kind of brand new. I'll be hopefully launching this March 1st, but I'll have a new run coaching program tied in with the massage therapy and some other things. So you're the first to hear this. So
Oh, I love
hopefully March 1st, everything's going to launch. I'll be doing some coaching. I have another coach that will be coaching with me. He'll be doing especially the virtual coaching. He'll be doing a lot of that, and we're going to be starting to build a little team to work on that. So that's brand new. I'm working on a lot of things, right? A lot of things to get ready for that right now.
That's awesome.
So that's how I'm blending it, and you'll learn more over the next month or so.
Cool. I can't wait to hear more about it. So speak to us a little bit also, kind of going off of that, obviously massage is a form of recovery.
Yep.
What other recovery practices do you sort of educate people on, practice yourself, like nutrition? Do you do like yoga? Obviously, like sleep is important. Any other outside of the box things that you find helpful?
So to me, the biggest key is finding something that you're going to do consistently. That's number one. Whether it's, stretching, whether it's doing yoga at home, going to a class, whether it's massage guns, going to see a therapist for work, different forms of cold therapy, like a cold plunge or a cold shower, that kind of stuff I really love. But whatever you're going to do consistently is what you got to do. So a lot of people are going to say heck no to the cold showers and the cold plunge. And some people are going to say no to the massage. They just don't want someone touching them. So, wherever you can find that's going to help you be consistent in that. But I think sleep is probably right up there. It's probably number one. Getting proper sleep, and nutrition rolls into that too. Because I think if you're not eating well, you're not going to sleep well. So finding a good sleep routine is really probably going to be the best thing to help people recover best, and give yourself enough time to recover. Some people want to just do everything all the time, but you got to give yourself time to recover. Otherwise, you're not going to recover. That's the thing. You're always going to be in a deficit, and you got to recover if you want to perform better and not get hurt. The less we recover well, the more likely we are to get injured. And that's something we all want to avoid. We don't want to have to go see our PT or our massage therapist or our chiropractor. We want to just do what we want to do and feel good doing it. So find something that you're going to be consistent with recovery, and then find somebody when you need it for sure. And knowing that difference is kind of important too.
Yeah. So going off that in the unfortunate instance where, you know, people are coming in complaining about pain, like, how are you educating people about it? How do you help them sort of navigate whether or not this is something they can work through? Like, you know, obviously something happens and you're a month out from your race.
Mhm.
A good group of people are just going to say, screw it and just go for it. Like, versus, you know, like, when are you sort of trying to help intervene so that they don't get hurt more seriously, or refer someone else out to someone
Yeah.
else, like a specialist of some sort?
Yeah, that's kind of the unknown for a lot of us, or a lot of people that, aren't really sure how to understand what pain is. There's discomfort and then there's pain, so I try and help them understand what the difference is, help them try to figure out what's going on with their body, with their training, and, you know, and be smart about it. Like I said, if there's a worst case scenario, it's a month out and you got something going on, what do you do? So try and help them navigate. Ask them questions and figure out what's going to be best for them. What's the worst case thing that's going to happen if you keep going, and you get more hurt. And what's going to happen if you do stop and you don't run this race in a month? What's the worst that's going to happen? So trying to weigh the pluses and minuses of those things, trying to help them, coach them through making a decision, because I won't make that for them. um, and it's rare that I'll tell someone to stop running. But it's those moments where something's not right for sure. It's like, like this case is tough. I can help you with this part of it, but you need to go see, an orthopedic. You need to see the PT. You need to see the podiatrist. You need someone to help with this particular issue and rule something really serious out before you really kick it into gear and hurt yourself some more. So trying to help them navigate those things, um, and help them make the right decision. And whatever they decide, I'll help them through it. So if they're like, I'm running this race no matter what, it's like, okay, this is what we need to do now. So since you made that decision, let's go ahead and form a plan. You might have to do some extra things now. That might be more recovery. It might be, if you're not seeing your physical therapist right now, you need to go see that person now. If you're not doing, um, if you haven't seen your podiatrist yet, go see them, if it's a foot issue. So, um, and then tell them what your plan is, that you're still going to do this. And as a team, we can really help get you through it. And then afterwards, you're going to need us more afterwards. Just be preparing for that kind of thing too.
Right.
And, that's a tough decision. And I've worked with a couple runners who've, have had some injuries along the way in a training, and they're determined to have a certain goal for time, and they just don't feel it. And there's something going on, and then they kind of overtrain, if you will. And overtraining is a very real thing, and because they're not recovering, from whatever's going on, and then get to race day and can't do it, just can't perform. So to me, that's almost worse than saying a month out, you know what, I'm gonna put the brakes on this and go afterwards, and go from there. So just try and help them make a good decision, for them. And because to be honest, I'd rather not see them in my office, once a week, to get them through an injury. But if that's what they're, dead set on doing, then that's what we'll do. And we'll again form a strategy to help them through it, without getting as injured as badly as they could.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we go. But it's rare that I'll tell someone not to run or cycle or whatever their event is, unless there's something really bad going on.
I think like it's tough in those situations too, because like, especially I think with this particular population, or sort of in a lot of endurance sort of sports, you could tell them not to run, but they're probably just going to go see somebody else. So I think,
Or they're going to run anyway. Yeah.
or see somebody else that'll say, all right, I'll work with you while you do this. So just I think it's important to have those conversations with people and meet them where they're at and be realistic with them about like you said, like the pros and cons of like, you're going to go like, give them their options. And if they're like, whatever, send it, like I'm doing this, then you're going to go like, okay, like these are the possible outcomes of this. I will help you as much as I can.
Yeah.
But like based on
and
however you present, you know,
mhm.
you're opening yourself up to these potential outcomes and then hoping for the best, you know?
Right. And then also come up with um, an agreement that's saying if things get to this point, you know,
Yeah.
it's so bad that we're gonna say stop. You
Yeah.
know? So there's got to be a point where we say, you know what, this is not right. This is not good for you. So let's save it for next time, and we'll build up for more. And I've had to deal with that with you know, recreational runners and professional cyclists and others that, you know, they gotta do it, you know, and they gotta do what they gotta do. So you know, but at some point you gotta say, you can't. And sometimes it's not for me to say, you know, just in my role, but I say you're gonna have to go find someone else, like an orthopedic or just different specialist to say, yes, you need to continue, you can continue, or no, you're done. You know, you need to take 6 months off or whatever it is.
Right.
And then can develop a plan from there.
Yeah.
So
Collaboration.
It's important.
yes, it's very important. Yeah. It's not, it can't be one person. There's got to be a team working with everybody. And that's what I enjoy with a lot of my clients, is that I'm usually, you know, part of team so and so, team so and so. Everyone's got, you know, their group of people that help them stay put together, and help them do their best, and then, you know, fix all the little pieces as they need to, and get it together.
I think when you're doing a sport that's as intensive as like marathon running or like
It's
cycling
important
or
to have that
whatever,
team.
yeah, you kind of need a tune-up team because you're putting
Mhm.
more
Yep.
mileage on your body. So the recovery aspect is important, and, you know, attention to recovery and just taking care of yourself in general. So
Mhm.
you can have some longevity in the whatever that sport is that you love.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Always better to be proactive than reactive. Agreed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. This was
Cool.
great.
Awesome.
Yeah. Why don't you let people know too, like where they can find you, the best way to contact you,
Okay.
Instagram name, kind of include that too.
Sure.
We'll
So
drop.
yeah, right now it's pretty simple, and this will be changing over the next couple months. But look at, you know, whether Facebook, Instagram, you know, Sports Massage Coach is my handle for those. Website sportsmassagecoach.com. You can find me there, and you can learn more about me and what I do for massage and nutrition. The running stuff isn't up there yet. And then
Will
that's
be.
where people can also book appointments. Yeah, it'll be up there soon. It will be, just a matter of time.
Yes.
So but yeah, so Sports Massage Coach, you can search for that, and you'll find my stuff there. And I'm trying to be more consistent with some of my Instagram stuff. It's not my favorite, but I'm trying to keep more information out there for people.
Great.
It's a work, you know, it's a work in progress.
It is. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you
All right.
again, Steve. It was great chatting with you. We look forward to doing this again in the future.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you both very much. Have an awesome weekend.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
too.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thanks.